Financial Survival Network, helping you to survive and thrive in the new economy. Get our complimentary newsletter at financialsurvivalnetwork.com. This is the Financial Survival Network.
FSN, it's about what's next. You probably asked the same question that I've asked a million times. How important is talent? Do you have the talent to get where you want to go? And you're probably familiar with Dayna Steele's book, Rock to the Top, and her series, 100 Ways to Rock Your World. She claims there are factors far more important than talent that can help you get to where you want to go. Dayna, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on.
So you've worked with people and you feel that talent is only part of the equation, that there are things a lot more important than that, don't you?
Definitely. I spent years in rock and roll at KLOL in Houston, which is really kind of 101, which is where the play came on, 101 Ways to Rock Your World. But all those years being around some of the top rock stars in the world, Van Halen, the Rolling Stones, Bon Jovi, ZZ Top. But I interviewed so many people who were so incredibly talented, and you never heard from them again, which comes under the phrase one-hit wonder. And I really watched and learned over the years there were a lot of talented people who never made it, and there were a lot of people who maybe weren't as talented that soared to the top of the charts and stayed there. A perfect example, Ozzy Osbourne, bless his heart. If he didn't have Sharon, Ozzy wouldn't be at the top of the charts. Ozzy wouldn't be at the top of anything. He'd probably be 6 feet under.
Is he still alive? I thought he was gone 20 years ago.
They've made so much money, he could very well be an animatronic for all we know. But it is. There's so much more that goes into being a success at anything, whether it's in music or with a product or a service or a business, whatever you do. You've got to have a great product, but you, more than that, have to know what is it your fans, your customers are passionate about. What do they want? What's in it for them? You have to network. You have to constantly read and stay on top of your industry. You have to acknowledge everybody that helps you along the way. And you have to do all these things every day, 24/7, in everything you do, besides have a product or a service or a song or a band or whatever.
And
a lot of people don't. I mean, you see it, don't you?
Oh, all the time. I mean, I just shake my head and wonder how these people get out of bed in the morning, some of them, and yet they're super successful. And, they seem to have very limited talent and very limited means. And yet, whatever they do have, they manage to make the most of it.
They've found something they're passionate about. They completely 100% believe in themselves. And that's one of the first steps to being successful, is you have to really believe in what you're doing before you can convince anybody else. And then you move on from there. The first book, the full title, everybody says my titles are way too long, is Rock to the Top, What I Learned About Success from the World's Greatest Rock Stars. And the book literally came from, I got tired of people saying, well, you were so lucky. You really got lucky. Well, yeah, I was really lucky. It was a killer job, and I did get to hang out with the greatest rock stars in the world and go to concerts. But I would try to explain, I didn't play Stairway to Heaven or Freebird any different than any other DJ in town. And, in Houston, Texas, there's only so many ways you can say partly cloudy with a chance of rain every day, 352 days a year or whatever it is. But what I did do is I constantly networked. I constantly met people. I constantly wrote handwritten notes. I did things for other people. I would get up and read both newspapers before I even went on the air. So while everybody else was treating it like it was a giant party and hungover and and crawl out of bed and go right on the air. I've been up for hours reading the newspaper so I could talk about what was going on in the city. And that made people listen to me because I was talking about them.
So you connected and...
Well, I connected and you know, it's not about, once you figure out what it is you're passionate about, what it is you believe in, what it is you do, what it is you want to do, that's the last time it's about you. From that point on, it's about your customers. It's about your fans. It's about your listeners. I mean, you know that. I love Broadway musicals, but I couldn't play Fiddler on the Roof. I had to play that stupid Stairway to Heaven over and over and over. I hate that song.
And Freebird, the two most overplayed songs on the radio.
Songs. If I never hear those songs ever again my whole life, I'd be happy. But, you know, that's what my listeners wanted to hear. And I wasn't there to entertain myself. I was there to entertain them. Mm-hmm. And I tried to get really involved in the lives of my listeners and their charities and their successes and, you know, babies being born and, you know, announcing all that stuff on the radio. And I think that's let's look at one of the greatest bands in the history of rock and roll, the Rolling Stones. Mm-hmm. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary. Can you imagine how many times Mick Jagger has had to sing Can't Get No Satisfaction? You've got to think he hates that song.
Yeah, that and God knows how many others. And yeah, you got to wonder.
But that's what you pay to see.
Right.
That's what you pay. That's why you buy that crazy $300 ticket to go see the Rolling Stones, because you want to hear the songs that you remember, that make you feel good, that bring back good memories, that make you think you're going to get lucky or whatever.
You know, it's funny you say that, because I went to see the Doobie Brothers probably about 7-8 years ago, some off-the-wall place in upstate New York. And, you know, I'm thinking, listen to the music. So they were actually practicing in the afternoon, and they let people go in and watch them practice. And I'm thinking, these guys have been around for 30, 40 years. Don't they know how to play these songs already? And yet they're there practicing to give the audience the songs that they want to hear, that they played God knows how many thousands of times before. And yet here they are, they're practicing. And they got to be sick of these songs, just like you said there, Dayna. But here they are, they're practicing to give the audience what they want. So there's definitely something to what you're saying there, that, you know, no matter how many times they play them, they can't get them exactly right. So they got to keep up on their game, like you reading the newspaper to figure out what the people out there that you're talking to want to know about.
People love a visual, and I try to tell them, imagine you're standing on a stage and you've got four corners. Those four corners have to be evenly supported. You have to have a strong foundation, and those four corners have to be evenly supported, or your equipment won't work. It'll slide off, it won't work, people won't be able to stand up, whatever. So imagine those four corners are passion. You know, find out what your customers are passionate about. Networking. Form relationships with people. Do things for them. They'll come back and do things for you. Appreciation. And your fourth corner is knowledge. And under knowledge is, you just gave a perfect example that I've not used in my speech, and I'm so stealing that from you. And that is practice. Practice is part of knowledge. Yeah. It's getting up and watching the news. It's reading your industry. It's taking classes. It's practicing. It's continuing to be the absolute best. When Lady Gaga, whether you love her or hate her, when Lady Gaga found out she had broken like all sales records, I don't know, beat the Beatles, Michael Jackson, something, her people celebrated, and she instead locked herself in the bathroom and had a panic attack because all she could think of was the way truly successful entrepreneurs think. That's great, but what am I going to do next? How am I going to make it better?
Hey.
How am I going to make it newer? What am I going to do next? So while everybody rests on their laurels, successful business people, successful entrepreneurs, successful artists, they're constantly thinking, that's nice, but what am I going to do next? How am I going to get better? And that's how you get better with practice.
Hey, and That leads me to the next thing. You just made me think of this. And so many people and music bands are a perfect example. Burnout, when they get further on in their career, they stop creating. And yet you look at a guy like Paul McCartney, and my daughter lucked out. She got the opportunity to actually hang out with him personally because her best friend's aunt married Paul McCartney. It's Nancy McCartney, and she got to hang out with him in England. And Paul McCartney is still writing songs. So how does a guy like Paul McCartney, Dayna, who's 70, he's still got it. He's still creating, and yet he's the exception. So I'm in my 50s. I'm still creating myself. I'm still reinventing myself in my 50s. What's the secret to staying relevant and still creating? What's your opinion of that?
It's to read. Read everything you can get your hands on. You'll recognize opportunities. You'll come up with ideas. You'll think of things that you never thought about. Gene Simmons of Kiss was asked a couple of years ago what he attributed his success to. And, if you've seen Gene on Family Jewels or Celebrity Apprentice, he can pontificate and almost become a caricature of himself. But to this question, he simply answered, I read everything I can get my hands on, because I do recognize opportunities for the band and opportunities for my company and opportunities for my kids. And I learn new things, and it makes me solve problems and think of new ways. I'm in my 50s also, although I hate to admit that. God, you
sure don't look like
on the radio.
You don't look like it, Dayna. I have to compliment you on that.
Thank you. Thank God for Botox. But I'm in, I'm going to be 55 later this year, and I feel 25. I always, I started doing co-hosting occasionally on the Fox affiliate in Houston, despite my liberal tendencies. They have me on every once in a while. And
fair and balanced.
There's some people who think it's too late for them. I always wanted to do television in my 20s, and I thought it was over. It's not. I just started doing TV in my 50s. I started writing books in my late 40s. I discovered I was a speaker, when I turned 50. It's what, if the Rolling Stones can be on their 50th anniversary tour, to hell with it. I'm going to do anything I want. I'm going to bungee jump. I'm going to zip line. I learned to play golf 3 years ago. I'm hooked on the stupid game. Don't quit. Never quit learning and never quit trying. I don't think I'm ever going to make money playing golf, but gosh, I have fun. And get out there and constantly learn. That is also, if you're in your 20s and 30s and 40s and you're listening to us, it's probably not on your radar. But if you're in your 50s and 60s and 70s, you are thinking about Alzheimer's and dementia and what makes some people susceptible to that and some not. That's on my radar now because of my mom. And what I'm learning from all of my reading is that the people who keep learning, who keep educating themselves and keep active, tend to keep it at bay longer than the people who don't. So not only will it make you successful, it may keep you active well into your 80s and 90s, and that's what I plan on.
Hey, same here, and I want to talk more about that up next on the FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com, and I'm Kerry Lutz.
Do you have Medicare or health insurance through your employer? If so, listen up. The healthcare reform wasn't written to save the healthcare industry or even to lower healthcare costs. Shoot, it isn't even designed to insure the uninsured. It's just a temporary political byproduct. Like a flat rock you step on in a swiftly moving stream, Obamacare is just a means to an end. Want to learn more about Obama's ultimate objective? Then you'll want to review our latest research presentation found on oclies.com. In it, a health expert and industry insider explains what you think you know about caring for your health is about to drastically change in 2014. Plus, he details the simple steps you could take to save thousands of dollars per year in health costs. It's free for you to preview at oclies.com. Don't waste time. What you don't know about the healthcare reform could hurt you and your family.
And we are back. We're with Dayna Steele, author, and so much more. Dayna, so staying young, keeping your mind young, we're both close to each other in age, and we do think a lot about the aging process and all of the negatives associated with it, and yet you're talking about staying young and, the things that you do. Certainly diet is a part of it, lifestyle, staying active. I mean, I exercise, not enough, mind you, but I do exercise. You go places, travel, but eventually it does catch up with you at some point.
Right. Kerry, I sincerely hope that the way I go is my zip line breaks as I'm going off of the Great Wall of China. I just want to go out at 90 miles an hour. There's a great book, and I know this is, a financial show. But
not necessarily. It's a baby boomer show.
So much of how you run your life. It all everything feeds off of everything. And there's a great book I started reading called Aging with Grace by David Snowden. And it's about a study. They've been studying since the early 80s, and they're continuing to study these 678 nuns because they're such a great control group. And then they've all donated their brains to this study after they die. And pretty much what they're discovering is the nuns with an expanded vocabulary, who continued their education, who continued to be involved in the fabric of their communities and their country and travel, and the ones with a positive attitude are the ones that after they die and they study their brains, some of these women are showing extreme evidence of Alzheimer's when they die, but they never showed it while they were still alive. It was like their gray matter fought it off.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very involved study, but what it comes down to is never stop learning, never stop smiling, find the positive things, and be involved. Get out there. I tell people success is not for sissies. You got to get off your ass, excuse my language, but get off of it and get involved. Get out there, meet people, learn new things, try new things, and just keep active. Oh my gosh, there's so much cool stuff out there. If you sit inside all day scared of the world, what's the point?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. And yeah, being a lifelong learner, so many people that I know in my social group, at least my old social group in New York, felt that you graduated from college, you got your degree, you're done learning. Now it's go make a living, go have a family. You never pick up a book. You never take a course. You never even change careers. You're done. And that to me is very confining, constricting thing. And your attitude, Dayna, is just so much more healthy and so much more exciting that every day really is a learning opportunity, every minute.
Well, when people say to me, "Oh, I wish I had been for example, a really good friend of mine, she's a CFO. I mean, she's a very successful CFO, but she said, I really, if I had it all over to do again, I would probably be a chef. I said, well, then be a chef. Well, I can't do it now. Why not?
Yeah, what's stopping you?
Why not?
Who said you can't?
I always, tell people, if there's something you really want to do, then start repositioning your life so you can do it. Well, I can't do that because I can't afford to. Well, then stop buying crap you don't need. Stop taking out loans. Stop buying brand new cars. I mean, if you really want to change your life and do something different, you can. You can do it. That's my other soapbox, by the way, Kerry, is, stop buying crap you don't need. Stop it.
Yeah.
I'd much rather spend my money on a trip to, for example, we're going to Panama and Costa Rica here in a few weeks. I'd much rather do that than go buy new clothes and a new car and a new pair of shoes.
Mm-hmm.
You just stop buying crap, but it's never too late to change your life. And going back to the silly book I'm reading, Aging with Grace, there were two nuns who grew up together, lived basically the same lives, came to America together, became nuns together. One died in her 80s, totally dementia-riddled, and the other one, at the same age, pursued a lifelong dream. She went to Kenya and started a water project. I mean, again, it's never too late. You can get out there and do all these things.
Yeah, it's never too late. I mean, I think that's the key.
My thing is I have 12 more books I want to write. Literally, I have 12 books outlined. And but they get in the way of my golf game, Kerry. So I'm not sure how many of those are going to get done.
Yeah. Yep. That's, there's only so much time and so much that you can do. So you got to prioritize. And you have conferences and you do seminars for people who are looking to kind of up their game and improve their...
Well, what I do is I speak to business conferences around the world. I speak on, I've got one speech that's about customer service. I have another one about how to grow your business or association. The third one is Find Your Inner Rock Star, which is more of a like employee or incentive motivation type speech. And then I do one that you would love this. It's called the Rockstar Interview, and that's where I take a company's top management, top salespeople, top customers, whatever, and we do almost like a talk show live on stage. It's very ad-lib, but coming from 20 years in radio, it's what I'm used to doing. So that's a lot of fun because you find out things about people, you find out about their backgrounds, you find out about what drives them, and you usually learn something that you can take away and apply to your own business. So, but, Kerry, there's one thing I do. I get up and I do it every morning at 5 a.m., and that is I write a tip, just one really short tip. It's called yourdailysuccesstip.com. And it's a lot of the things you and I have been talking about today. It's free to sign up for it. I have a ball doing it. I don't write them in advance. I write them. I'm usually inspired by whatever's happened in the news in the last 24 hours. Mm-hmm. For example, this morning's tip was if you make a mistake, acknowledge it, figure out what happened, make amends to your customers if you need to. If you can throw in some humor, even better, and move on. And that was inspired by, did you see the closing ceremonies of the Olympics?
Missed that. I was kind of traveling.
Okay. The opening ceremonies, they did the fifth ring did not open, and everybody was making fun of the Russians that fifth ring didn't open. Last night, they had 5 clusters of dancers at the closing ceremonies, and the first 4 formed rings, and the 5th one hesitated. They literally made fun of themselves. It was hysterical. It was brilliant. And it's like, you know what? So many companies make the mistake. Companies and individuals, of when they make a mistake, they ignore it, they deny it, or they try to cover it up.
Oh yeah.
A company that had a mistake recently that was really big, that is an excellent example of what you should do, is Southwest Airlines. They doubly charge people. I guess this was about 6 months ago. I mean, they owned the problem immediately. They created a website on what you could do to fix it. They gave out email addresses. They gave out phone numbers. Within 24 hours, it was a non-story because they fixed it.
Yep.
So, that's what I love doing is yourdailysuccesstip.com, and I try to find, like the book I was talking about, Aging with Grace, I try to mention that sort of stuff. Because sometimes people get overwhelmed by everything that needs to be done to be successful. So this is just one thing a day that you can start to sort of build up your success repertoire.
I'm signing up for it right now. I love those. I love those little success tips. I find them real helpful. And, why not go for it? And, it's a lot of success in life, a lot of what it's about. Yeah, there's things that you do, but there's also things that you don't do. And that's what I found because, things that you do are important, but we're also our own worst enemies. And, when you stop doing things that sabotage yourself, that can be a real help as well.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So,
and you know what? I tell people it's okay to be happy. It is okay. You are in charge of your own happiness. Nobody else is.
mm-hmm.
And so I noticed that a lot of people, I love business. I'm one of those weird ones. I love meetings, and I love business. I love learning, and I love, it's okay to admit you love what you do. And it's okay to smile.
Absolutely.
Quit being so damn serious. You're not any fun to be around. Cheer up.
Yep. And that's important that, if you don't love what you're doing in your work, you really need to find something else and stop making excuses for being unhappy because you were meant to be happy doing what you're doing.
Yeah. And it's not anybody else's fault. I mean, you get to decide if you're going to be happy. And you know what? When you're happy and you enjoy what you're doing and it shows, people want to be around you, and the more people are around you, the more successful you are. It is really that simple of an equation.
Yeah, couldn't be simpler than that. And hey, Dayna, I want to thank you for coming on. Just give us your website again and where people can find you and get that daily success tip. I signed up, and I think you should too. Okay, it's
yourdailysuccesstip.com. The tip is there, my contact information, the books, my speaking. I just tried to we're all ADHD these days, so I tried to simplify it into one website, yourdailysuccesstip.com.
And go over to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. We'll have a link to Dayna's site, and don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. I got something kind of breaking coming out, something that I noticed that you need to think about as well. Dayna, it's really been a pleasure, and we will have you on again real soon. Thanks so much.
I would love it, Kerry. Thank you.
What happens if the collapse never really comes? You need income, and Jason Hartman can help you get it. He's helped thousands of people realize their dreams of financial independence through real estate investing, and now he's got an unbeatable offer for you. He's offering my ebook, Forget Wall Street, Go for the Gold and Silver too, for free. Just visit jasonhartman.com/Lutz. The first 100 Financial Survival Network listeners will get the book free. Remember, you can't afford to put all your eggs in one basket. Real estate should be part of a balanced investment portfolio along with gold and silver. Just go to jasonhartman.com/Lutz and sign up today. When it comes to real estate investing, Jason Hartman is the only person we trust on the Financial Survival Network. So make your money work as hard as you do by building an income property empire. Real estate is America's proven investment. Go to www.jasonhartman.com/Lutz and get your free ebook today. That's Jason, HARTMAN.com/Lutz. That's Jason, HARTMAN.com/Lutz. Jason knows how to help you retire with a portfolio of income-producing property. Go to jasonhartman.com/Lutz.
The Financial Survival Network, helping you to survive and thrive in the new economy. Get our complimentary newsletter at financialsurvivalnetwork.com. This is the Financial Survival Network.